So this is underneath the car on the driver's side, and this repair panel, this flat panel, was put in with rivets and roof tar. So I drilled the rivets out, and hopefully there you go. And that's what's left. So that's why you cut out and weld in panels instead of riveting over stuff, because stuff just sits and rots out more. Like, I'm sure this was rotten before that patch was put in, but you know, certainly didn't get any better. So I'm back working on the Volvo. I got this brace to brace the left half of the car to the right half of the car, and it's also braced in the center. That way I can take this bit out, which is spot welded here, all along the floor, up around the tunnel, all along the floor, all along the side, back. I can take that out once I unbolt the transmission crossmember so that I can get access to the floor underneath to repair these holes. As you can see from the red dirt on the ground, I pressure washed underneath and got it all relatively, cleaner than it was, which is nice. Which is why the plastic's there, to prevent the headliner and the door cards and the dash from getting soaking wet. But yeah, I've got a spot weld cutter. It makes these little holes, and I don't know if you can see, but it leaves behind a plug like that, so it just cuts the outside, and that's all the way along. I finished there last night on the spot weld cutting, so I have to go up around the tunnel, down across the floor, and then up around the side. All of this stuff is pretty much rotten, so there's no spot welds holding anymore. Same with right here, but yeah, I'll get to spot weld cutting. Victory is mine. So this is the one of the layers of sheet metal that go from the left to the right of the car, where the seats bolt in. Seats bolt in there, and there, and there. Same on the other side. And the carrier bearing for the drive shaft bolts in here. So I just spent like 2 days drilling all these spot welds out, all the way around. And now you can see, well, yeah, you can see the floor. Finally, you can see the floor. These spot weld cutters work really well. More red sand. It's just everywhere. But yeah, now I can actually get to repairing stuff. So it's a new day working on the Volvo 240. Today I'm going to be removing this fender, which involves removing this piece, which I think they call a hockey stick. Kind of looks like a hockey stick. It's got 2 screws, one there and one there. That one does not look factory. It's like 2 inches long and it's a self-tapping screw, so And then there's another 2 screws there that go into this black bit of trim that goes all the way along. And then these bolts up here, which are all 10mm bolts. Same thing for the other side. I just spent the past couple days building this, which is a sandblasting cabinet. I don't know if you can see inside, but the glare is pretty bad. But this is a sandblasting cabinet that I built to sandblast the interior panel that went in here along that the seats bolted to and stuff. But now I'm going to try and tackle the bottom of the rocker, the inner rocker, which was all the way up into the fender, which is why I'm removing the fenders. So yeah. So there also appears to be 2 screws, one Phillips right there, and then another one that should be in there, but it's missing. And they go to brackets that are behind there, one there, and one up there. So yeah, I'm gonna take those out. And then the fender should hopefully come off, unless I find more fasteners, and then I'll be back. So things have escalated quite quickly. The bumper is now off through the removal of 3 of bolts, even though there's 4 holes. Who knows? Another 3 bolts, a couple of bolts on either end. The fender's still not off. I can't figure out, well, I figured it out, but I am struggling to get this headlight out, as that bolt right down there is just spinning because these bolts are set into plastic. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the head of a bolt that just goes into a plastic sleeve, and that one is spinning. So that's wonderful. So I'm still trying to get this fender off. And then once I get that out, this fender might be welded in here. There might be somewhere else where it comes apart, but I'm pretty sure it's welded in. So that's fun. But it's been a struggle. That headlight lens just popped off with barely any force. So that's good that it didn't happen on the road. That lens is held in with 3 screws. But as you can tell, there's been a little water in here, which is fine. Headlights get water in them all the time. But now I have the opportunity to polish the headlights, which I was going to do anyways, but I guess now I really have to do it. Yeah. We've got a little bit more rust. Well, there's more rust to be found, but a little more rust there. Little more rust here, which looks like it has been bondoed over. All this white stuff you can see is all Bondo. I think they just basically spread it over this entire panel. Yeah. Fun, fun, fun. So the fender is finally off. It only took like 6 hours. It was welded right here on a spot weld right there and a spot weld right there. I had to cut those out. And then it's just wedged in there so tightly that it really did not want to come out. There's also another bolt back here. And all of that so that I can replace this little bit of floor and rocker panel and all that sort of stuff. That's the factory jack point, by the way. Not much holding that up. So I'm underneath the car right now. I've got this paper template to replace this rotten beam, and Little Bones has decided to join me. She's a bit bitey from time to time. You're the silliest cat ever. Ow. So this is what I made today. It's a floor cross member for the Volvo. But yeah, from some CAD, some cardstock aided design to cutting it out of metal, to bending it in my sheet metal brake that I made, and then yeah, I got this really pretty looking part. So here are my thoughts so far. I don't really know what I'm doing, if that's not already evident, but I need to cut along here because I need to replace this inner rocker. And I've got the pieces made, so I just need to do a cut along somewhere here and back there. That back floor plan looks good, so I think I can keep that. I've got to cut, I think I can keep like within, I don't know, maybe ½ inch to an inch or so of this all the way along. These rivet holes look like they're in good sheet metal, so that's good. All this needs to be replaced. This is a flat sheet right here, and then it dips down and then comes to the bottom of the rocker. There's a bead roll in through here and one in through here. This has actually been hit on the bottom side of the car. There's a big lump there. And then all this has been replaced with flat sheet metal. Over on that side, right around here, it slopes down to the rocker and then comes in here, drops down, and there's sort of a pan that goes to this level. This is the jack point is under there, which is a separate part of the frame. Yeah, so I think I just have to make a cut. Really quite nerve-wracking. I don't know why, because I can't really screw it up more than it is, right? But I need to make a cut through there, cut some of this floor out so that I can get to this piece of sheet metal that's back here, so then I can replace it. Hopefully that all goes well. So yeah, I just have to start cutting. Pretty scary. So in my last clip, I said that I was going to cut this out. And I am going to, but I decided to focus my efforts over here. There was I got myself with the this tool, a putty knife, but whatever. There was a seat bracket in here that went in there, and with spot welds and stuff, and I had to get behind it to all this seam sealer that was there that's covering rust, and also this This is a hole back here. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, you can see there. So that needs to be repaired. I think I'm going to cut like back here and then down. Even though this is good sheet metal, I'm going to cut in through here and just weld this back together, whatever's good. But this needs to go. All of that. But yeah. So now that's finally out, this piece. This sort of drop down, I don't know if you can see it, but this is higher than this. That's the original floor shape, because it would have carried along at this lower plane all the way along to probably around right here, where it would step up again, like on that side. All around there is lower. Where that drain hole is, it's all lower. So yeah, that's the jack point, which I didn't cut into, which is really good. This is the what's left of the floor brace. I have new ones of those that I made, so that's fine that I cut those ears. This is all getting cut out anyways. But now I have enough room all the way along, except for maybe back there. I have to figure out what I'm going to do back here, because there's 2 layers of sheet metal through here, so I have to figure that out, because all that has to go as well. And there's no inner rocker left back here, so. But yeah, now I have enough space to put the inner rocker panels that I made in. So I'll start trying to figure that out. So now this is all cut out. I'm working on drilling these spot welds. You can see these little dimples. There's one right here. And there's a couple more here that I have to find. And then these ones right here. And then once I drill those out, then I can cut along here up until that corner. I'm trying to leave this little 1/8" hole that I drilled in, because I've got locator pins called Clecos, which are really nice. And they locate the panel, because there was a panel here that matched that little panel down there that the the seat went onto and the upholstery went onto and stuff. So yeah, I've got to come in here. There's a jack point under here that I have to figure out where it is so I don't cut through it. And then basically along this line is the frame rail. And the frame rail starts about here and goes up and over. I don't know if you can see, but that line of spot welds and this line of spot welds are either side of the frame rail. So yeah, I'll set you guys up and drill these spot welds out. That's where I'll cut. I'll have to go underneath and remove this jack point first, or try to anyways, so that I don't cut through it. So this is the jack point that I was talking about. It looks like it's welded in here and then also up here, but you can see that black and darkness. It's not really tied into much. So I finally got this panel out. There's a really stubborn weld there. The backside looks like. And we found a mouse house. In there, a mouse has been living in there, but I needed to get to here because all this is rotten, and needs to come out. Yeah. It's like, it just goes on. It's layers upon layers upon layers. And you need to get to the bottom layer. I'm there now. Some vacuuming, start cleaning stuff up, and I need to cut whatever I need to cut here. I need to cut that out. And then I can cut this stuff out because those holes aren't supposed to be there. And then I might be able to start welding stuff back in. Probably not, but you know, one can hope. So I've started moving on to the back. I got the inside here cut out. And I came back here and another one of these patches. Kind of looks like maybe it was a fridge or something. I don't know. But yeah, just fully right over the rust. Like right over the paint and everything. Like you can see the old undercoating. It's just, I mean, there's no attempt. And this is just like a full-on buildup of Bondo. Yeah. Good times. I don't know how much of a nightmare that's going to be, but it'll be interesting. Good shock access. So I appear to have lost the audio file for this bit of recording, but I'm just talking about the inner fender well that attaches all of this together. That goes from the bottom of the car to the inner rocker. This piece is new. This piece, this raised piece right here, it gets continued along all the way and then drops down at the back. These spot welds are the only 3 spot welds that held the entire rocker panel on, seemingly. There were rivets along the rest of the rocker panel, but the only welds. Except for here, there's a tiny weld, but it's not really doing much. It's quite rotten. So I'm going to cut along here somewhere to preserve this body line, and then once I get to the Sharpie marker, I'm basically going to cut along the Sharpie marker the entire way, which is about 2 inches, which is how big my new inner rocker panel that I made is. So you can't see in there, but there's quite a bit of rust from previous repairs. Some more mumbling. This was all Bondo, so I had to chip it out with a chisel. And I think I'm talking about how I'm going to make a piece that goes in along that contour. So, piece is going to come down and then over and then up just along the contour. So, I've been pretty much on this all day. Still have to figure out this because there's so much rotten and I don't want to remove this outer skin, so that'll be interesting. But I cut out basically this piece goes in there like that and then fits all the way back there with some finessing. This is all nice and cleaned up. Found a hole here, that'll be easy. Found a patch here that someone had riveted in, cut it out so that I can cut and weld one in. And then I was sort of looking over here, and this is where my bump stops are supposed to be. You can see there's a plate there where they are they contact the axle, and on the other side, I don't know if you can see right beside those fuel lines and that fuel line that's cut off. Yeah, both bump stops are missing. So I'll have to order some new bump stops. That's interesting. Haven't fixed that hole yet. Once this panel goes on, then I can make the continuation of that piece that comes along here and welds to the back of this panel. So yeah, it's slow progress, but it's coming along. So right now I'm cutting out this patch for the inner fender well, and I'm using my vertical bandsaw. This is a portable bandsaw that I made a stand for, and it works so well for cutting pretty much anything. It works really well for sheet metal especially. So this is what it looks like all cut out, and this is what it looks like next to the old piece. You can see those rivet holes and how much rust is there. So this is the piece of floor that goes above the rear frame rail, and this is a paper template that I made to match it. It needs a little bit of shrinking and stretching, but with some tweaking it will work. So this is the piece of the inner rocker that the rear jack point mounts to, and I'm just making a cardboard template for it so that I can cut it out and replicate it. So now I'm just making the structure for that inner rocker piece that I'm remaking. I'm making it much stronger than it was. This was originally one sheet of sheet metal, and it's going to be around 4 layers of
of metal once it's done. So right now I'm just tacking on some um, filler pieces to get the correct spacing that I'm looking for. Just grinding down the welds, making sure everything's flat so that it again gets the correct spacing, because I want it to match the original height of the panel. So I'm just making sure everything's square and clamped down, and then I'm going to mark for spot welds, for holes for spot welds, so that I can drill through these places and then weld through to make everything one piece. So now I have all the holes drilled. I'm just making sure everything's clean so that I can start welding. When you're TIG welding, which I'm going to be doing in a second here, it's very important to have everything as clean as possible, because it does not like any sort of oily residue or any sort of mill scale, which comes on pretty much all steel. So it's important to have that all cleaned off so that you get a nice weld. Yeah, so I'm just welding through all those holes that I just drilled to make sure everything's stuck together all the way along. Then again, just doing more cleaning, making sure everything's ready to weld. So here's what that part looks like after it's all been welded and ground down and everything's finished. It's got that inner wall section that you can see for extra strength, because this is where the jack point's going to be welding to. So this is what the old part looks like, and this is what I copied it off of. So this is that piece that I cut out earlier, and everything on the inner fender and everything's fit up and ready for welding. And then this is what it looks like after welding. This is the first welding that I've done so far on the car, so things are coming along. Thank you for watching.